Okay, welcome back, everybody. This is week 4 of our Unreal Engine learning class. And as I mentioned before, hopefully everybody had a fantastic weekend. We have Eden and London here. I think Carol was here, but maybe got disconnected. And then Trinity is going to join us shortly, we hope. And today, what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be working on our overlap for our goal and creating a blueprint from the goal. So that's going to be a little different from what's in the lesson plan. We're going to flip flop uh, the the lessons. So we're going to do today's lesson that's on the website. We're going to do tomorrow night, and we're doing tomorrow's today. So I did want to share with you guys the class website again. So I'm going to go and share my screen here. Okay, share. There we go. Share that. Okay, so this is actually not what we were looking for. We want the main site. Okay, so we talked about assignments, and I don't think, and I mentioned this earlier today. Okay, someone else is trying to join. That's Carol. Okay. All right, welcome back, Carol. So remember that we need to be sharing a Google Drive folder with moi. And does anybody have any questions about how to do that? It's pretty straightforward. You just go to Google Drive and then you share with your folder with me. You can share it, and it's joe.stallings@mindera.learning.com, just like you guys have. And that way I can see your uploaded uh, screencast or screenshots, however you want to show progress on your project. And then also remember the weekly reflections that we talked about, which are on Slack, because I did not get any of those either on Sunday. And we do want to try to do these by the latest every Sunday night to have your project update and your Slack or I'm sorry, your reflection. And I'm just going to hop back over to here, share my Slack.
Did get my video right because I put a video in the Google Drive for you.
Okay, have you shared your folder with me?
I I believe I did whenever I first set it up.
Okay. Yep. I'll take a look at that. And the weekly reflection template is in your Slack channel, Summer Game Dev, and then over here at bookmarks. And you can see it here, and that can download the template. All right. So if you guys would also please be sure to, if you see Trinity, if she's not able to make it, remind her about the Google Drive stuff. Okay. Now let's get on to the good stuff. So I've got Unreal Engine open, and I'm going to share that now. Um, just share everything, make myself a little smaller, and we'll go down here. Okay. So can everybody see my screen okay? Okay.
Yep.
Um, Last time, what we did is on Thursday, we spent some time working on ball physics. And let me just change something back up here. Uh, third person game mode. Okay, there we go. Move that out of the way. Okay, so we worked on the ball physics. We also altered the camera a little bit, pulled the camera back. Of course, you can tweak that however you want. I found that it's helpful to put a couple extra balls in the game so that we're not just having, to trace one. And we'll come back and do at the end of the course, we'll come back and do a little polish on the ball physics, because sometimes, usually it does work good, but sometimes I've noticed that things can get a little wonky. But we have it feature complete, as we say, so that it is working in the game, but it probably could be touched up a little bit. And if you recall, we said what we want to do is that when we get this ball inside of this goal here, we want to score a point. And that's what we're going to be working on today. So the first thing that we want to do is I want to make sure, does everybody have a goal? A goal model, or it could have been one that you built yourself. Okay. Well, if you don't, you can find a 3D model online, and you can also, if you want to, you could just go and add some very simple shapes. I think we did this before where we had a cylinder and we scaled it and we duplicated it, and you could make a goal kind of like that. Duplicate it one more time and rotate it. Okay, so if you don't have a goal, that is a quick and easy way to do that. But I'm going to use this one that I provided in one of our earlier classes. So we're going, what's that question? Okay, so we're going to create a blueprint for the goal next. We've got our dummy players, we have our fun launcher, and our table, which is just a prop, and then our soccer ball, which we worked on last session. So now let's go again to right-click in your content folder, go to Blueprint Class, select Actor from the top, and I'm going to call mine BP underscore goal. Okay. Change things up a little bit here. All right, this will be a good time to save everything. So we'll do a file save all. And now I am going to open up that blueprint and we're going to get started. And there's Trinity. Cool. Okay. Welcome, Trinity. Glad you got in. Quick reminder to be sure to share your Google Drive folder with me and to do your reflection and your screencast when you get a chance. Okay, so here's our blueprint, right? We've done a couple of these now. We don't really have any details because we don't have anything in our components list. So we need to add some stuff. So the first thing that I'm going to add, get rid of this Zoom thing, is I'm going to click here to add, and I'm going to add a static mesh. We've talked a little bit about what those are. I like to think of them as they're 3D models. So they're more than just a basic cube or a cylinder or a sphere. It's usually a more advanced 3D model that either you built yourself or you imported. So I'll click that. And I'm just going to call this goal. You don't have to, but you can. Okay, so now when we select our goal, we want to come down here and we want to see the static mesh section. And this is where we can actually choose our static mesh. And as you see, it's empty by default. So I'm going to go and I'm going to find that goal. And there's Carol back again. Okay. And I'm looking here and I have a lot of objects and I'm not sure which one it is. So another tip is to remember we can dock our tabs like that. Is I can just go right back to the game level, zoom in a little bit, click on this, and then over in the details panel, okay, it's soccer goal. That's the one I'm looking for. And actually, for your meshes, you have two other options. One is you could use the selected asset. So if I had another mesh that I wanted to swap out for that, I could use this little thing. But the one I want to draw your attention to for this class is this magnifying glass. So this will search through your entire project and show you exactly where the selected object is in your content for drawer. So it's soccer goal. And remember the little use selected asset. So I'm going to show you that trick next. So we're going to make sure that that's selected, which you can tell because it has a blue highlight. And we're going to go back to our goal. And here I'm going to now use selected asset from content browser. And it's going to pop that mesh right in there. Again, another way is you could just kind of scroll through, see what you got. If you knew the name of it, you could type it up here. Soccer G. Yep. So now we have this in here. I'll compile and save. And now I'm going to go out to my field and I'm going to remove both of the static meshes because they don't really do anything. They're just objects, right? You have to put it inside of a blueprint to give it functionality. So I'll delete that one. I'll delete this one back here. Okay. And now I'll go back over here and I will put in my actual blueprint that I just created. And hopefully I saved it in my blueprint folder. I did. So now I can drag it right here. And right off the top of the bat, I can see I probably need to go and rotate this guy. You could do it right here, like I could just rotate it right here. But again, remember blueprints inherit like when you create multiple copies. So if I did it here and then I dragged another one in, I would have to do that for every single one of them. And for a goal, it's not too big of a deal because there's only 2 goals, but it's a good practice to really make sure your master blueprint is in good shape. So I'm going to go here and just rotate this 90 degrees. And I'll compile, save. Hopefully I didn't get it backwards. No, okay, cool. All right. So drag that back in there. It's perfectly rotated. I will save it. I'm just going to press play, make sure that it still has collision, that I can't just run through the bars. Yep, right there. Okay. And I can't go through the net either. All right. All right. So far, so good. Any questions? Anybody have? Okay. Now we're actually going to give it some logic. So as we know, in a soccer game or a football game, you score when the ball goes, as they say, through the net. So what does that mean specifically? That means it has to, let's see if I have my drawing tools anywhere. Oh, we won't worry about that. It has to be within this kind of area here that I'm rolling over with my mouse. And it has to be past this invisible line that connects these 2 goalposts right here. So I think everybody understands what constitutes a goal. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is we are going to create a box collision. So, oh, sorry. We'll go back to components. Make sure you're in your components section. We're going to click add, and then we're going to do box collision. It's a box collision component. Okay. And this is going to put a box, an invisible box right here. And what we want to do is we want to adjust this. Think of this box as where we're telling the game, okay, if the soccer ball comes into here, we're going to say you scored a goal. Now, why would this not work if I just left it like that? Well, because if somebody kicked the ball through the top of the goal here, that should be a goal. But since our collision box is not up there, it would not detect it. Okay. So let's continue to kind of size this and move it. Takes a little time to get used to the controls. Here's another great example. This would be we would be giving the person a goal too soon because they could kick the ball and it could roll to a stop right about here, right? And it would still consider it to be a goal. So we need to make sure it's really inside of our thing here. Okay. And let's size it up a little more, or scale it, I should say. Excuse me. Okay, there we go. All right, that should be pretty good. I don't think it matters if it goes underground. That's not a big deal. Okay, so another thing I'm going to do just to make sure it's perfect is you'll notice up here that we're at the perspective camera. Okay, so this is kind of like basically a game camera. It kind of slightly skewers your view, like in any game you play, like Roblox or Minecraft. But we're going to change this temporarily um, to a front view, and that's going to put us in a 2D view. And this way I can really see that, okay, yeah, I need to make this a little bit bigger here. And I'm going to also change to a side view to make sure, yeah, that's fine. I might move this over here a little bit like that. Okay. And then we'll go back to our perspective view. And also, you probably notice there's also a top and a bottom view, but we don't need that for this exercise. All right, I will compile and save. We'll go here and we'll do a save all. All right, now we need to tell it to do something when something overlaps with this box, right? So what we'll do is we'll make sure the box is selected in the blueprint, and it will always be all the way down at the bottom. Let me do something real quick here. Turn that off. Okay. So you go with this selected all the way down to the bottom. You'll see a bunch of on component, which is our box, begin overlap. So this we could like as it says for an example, when somebody walks into the box, that would be an overlap. An end overlap, that would be, do we want to do something when something exits this box? And all kinds of different things. On cursor over, like if you were, this was a 2D game, maybe we want to see is the mouse cursor over the box, then we want to do something. But for this example, and for many examples in the future, you want on component begin overlap. And we'll click on that, and that will immediately drop this node here into our event graph. And as a refresher for that, remember we have the viewport and construction script we're probably not even going to use for this course. So our viewport is our stuff, our art assets, and then our event graph is where all of our coding goes. Okay, so I want you to notice on component begin overlap and in parentheses, it automatically knew which component we're talking about because we used these guys over here. Okay. So what we want to do is let's draw out and we from this execution pin, we click and hold and drag, and we're just going to do a simple print string. And I am going to change this to say overlapped. Okay, so let's compile and save. And let's give that a test. Go back into my game, press play, and I'm just going to run my player through this. Okay, there it is. If I come out, it should happen again. Not sure why it's doing it twice. Maybe you need to tweak my collision box a little bit. Okay. Now, let's see if it does that when we get one of the balls in here. Been really lucky with getting it in the goal, but I guess not tonight. Let's see. Ah, yeah, there it goes. Overlapped. Sweet. So that shows us kind of a proof of concept, right? That we have. Let's recap what we did. We have a static mesh, which is a 3D model. Okay. And then with that, we also have this this box collision component, which we added, and we sized it so that it fits nice and snug inside of the static mesh. And then what we did here, well, we went here and went all the way down and we did on component begin overlap, and that automatically put this node in here for us. Okay. And then we did a print string just to show that it did work as a trigger. It showed that it's recognizing that there's colliding actors because we put the ball in it, we put ourself in it. So yeah, so what I like to do is a good practice in Unreal Engine visual programming, which is what we've done here today, is just to make sure before you start doing all the, okay, we're going to add the score, we're going to subdue this, we're going to subtract time, we're going to check to see, well, is the colliding object the player? Is it a ball? Just you want to make sure that it's just detecting it first of all before you put a lot of code in there, because I've seen a lot of people work on these components, on these overlaps and triggers, build out a bunch of code, and then didn't test that, hey, is it working at all first? Let's just make sure it's turning on and off. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, and I think we covered this a little bit, we are going to select, I'm going to select this print string. I'm going to hit the C as in Charlie key on my keyboard, and it's going to put a comment in there for me. And then I'm going to say, add code here to only detect overlaps with the ball. Okay, and then I can kind of move this around here a little bit. Also, when you select your comment, you could change the color. I might change this to blue. Maybe I'll say purple is, stuff I need to fix. Purple is features I need to implement. Red is things I need to fix. And that way I can quickly look at my blueprint and see, okay, here's what I need to work on today. And the cool thing is you can move this block around too, and it'll move this node here with us. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and compile and save. And just as a tip, this other actor, let's see if we can do soccer, cast a soccer ball maybe. Okay. I'll just test this real quick. See if this does it, because we'll compile. Yep. Okay. So I think now, I can't promise because I know we need to wrap up here in just a sec, but I think, oh no, it should be not the player. Okay. Yeah, let me just undo all this. Control Z, again, just like with anything, is you can quickly undo. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these guys here, these blue pins, to say who we do and do not want to trigger an overlap. And again, it's going to be, we do want the ball to give us, award us a goal. We don't want the player running into the box, creating a goal. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing here. Just as a reminder, please do, and thank you, Mike, for letting me know your status. Please do make sure that you have your Google Drive set up, and that you have a shared folder that you can put your progress in. It is, just share it with me, joe.stallings@mindaralearning.com. And all right, hope you guys have a great start to the week, and I will see you guys. I guess I won't see you, Mike, but hopefully we'll see everybody tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Oh.